Hi there, and welcome to Graham's Guide Friday Live this Friday, the 8th of September. No, not September. It's the 8th of April. Oh dear, wishing the year away. Um, okay, let's get straight into it. Today we're looking at assignment two. A couple of, I've had I want to say several questions. Probably there's a lot more than several questions because, in addition to the email questions, I've had some questions in Canvas and, of course, in the discussion boards. And I just want to reiterate that the discussion boards are the best place to ask your questions. If you do feel uncomfortable asking in the discussion board, then that's okay to email me, but preferably ask in the discussion boards where everyone will benefit from your question, the answer, and any discussion that follows. So, people are looking at the case studies, and a couple of people have told me they see ethical issues, but like there's lots of issues in some of the case studies. And in one case, a student said that they can sort of see the ethical issue, but they're not quite sure how to talk about it, or how to recognize it properly, or how to state what the ethical issue is. So I thought about this overnight, and this morning. What time is it now? It's 12:30, just it's around lunchtime. And so I've been thinking about this morning as well. And I think one of the ways that you might like to approach this is, once you've chosen which case study you'd like to do, and you can choose any case study you like. If you're in education, you could choose psychologist. If you're in doing psychology degree, you could choose education. It's just up to you, whichever one of those case studies you want to choose to write about. And generally, I think it's a good idea to write about one that you feel a connection to, because I think it's easier writing when you feel you have a connection with the material that you're writing about. I'm going to be using the example that we used in our Collaborate session, which was Narelle, a nurse. You won't find a case study about nursing or Narelle in the case studies offered, but I want to use a case study that's not one of the case studies that you're going to be writing about. I don't want to skew your ideas in relation to those case studies. So let's have a look just quickly. For anybody who did not see um, the Collaborate session, I highly recommend you watch the Collaborate session, the most recent one on assignment two, because that's providing you with direct guidance about how to respond to this assignment question. Actually, I'll come to the questions in a moment. But anyway, so this is the sample case study. It's about Narelle, who's a registered nurse. The short story is that during the Collaborate session, everyone sort of, while there were quite a few ethical issues here, the one that sort of seemed to be the most talked about was the conflict of interest. And there were a couple of conflicts of interest. There was a conflict of interest of Narelle, because if Narelle reports this other nurse and the other nurse gets fired, well, then Narelle might get the job that she's after. So even just reporting this in some ways is a conflict of interest for Narelle, because she aims to benefit if the other person is removed. And then there are other conflicts of interest as well, in that the other nurse in this story was recommending her husband, who was a chiropractor, to conduct work. So if your husband is a chiropractor and you're a nurse and you're recommending his services, you will clearly benefit from any work he gets. So again, that's another conflict of interest. So there are a few different ways of looking at this, but I just wanted to mention that up front, that was this is the case that I'm going to be looking at. It's from the Collaborate session, and you'll find more detail about this example if you go and watch the Collaborate session. Okay, so once you've decided which of the case studies you want to choose, in this case I'm choosing Narelle, you need to locate the code of ethics or a code of conduct for that professional employment. And the employment of a nurse, you'd be looking for the code of conduct for nursing, or a code of ethics for nursing. And in this case, a code of ethics was provided. Where do I have that? I've got it here somewhere. Here, the Code of Conduct for Nurses, the Nursing and Midwifery Board of Australia, and Tanya provided this as part of the Collaborate session. So this won't be a surprise to anybody that this is the one that was used. So I have this copy here, and if I scroll down in this Code of Conduct for Nurses to the contents, I can see here all of the areas that are covered by this code of conduct. And you can see here there are 7 main principles. The first one is legal compliance. So the obligations a nurse has to comply with lawful behavior and mandatory reporting. But the one that we're looking at, if we go down here to principle 4, professional behavior, and 4.4 is conflicts of interest. So I think that if, for example, any of those professions that you're looking at, look up the code of conduct, see if the code of conduct or the code of ethics has a table of contents like this, and just familiarize yourself with what is here. And then when you're looking at your case study, see if any of the principles or any of the these headings in the table of contents might apply to your case study. So in this case, as I'm looking down here, I actually see that while we have chosen conflict of interest as the area of ethical concern, I can see that there might be some other possibilities here that we also could have chosen if we'd looked at this document. The only part of this document that we looked at during the Collaborate session was this professional behaviours section, but I can see that there are possibly other areas that could apply. Anyway, look, so you get the conflicts of interest section, and I think if I click on this, will it take me to that section? No, page 13. So now I'm going to go down to page 13 because I think this might relate. Where's page 13? Back here. Conflict of interest, 4.4. So what I would do is I would read through this section of conflict of interest and see if I can use anything from this to help me talk about the conflict of interest I've found in the case study that I'm looking at. And then this is the evidence that you can use. You can, like, then in your opening paragraph, you can talk about the case study, and then you can mention that case, this profession relates to this code of ethics, and then within this code of ethics, you've found this section, it might be the conflict of interest section, and you believe that this applies, this section of the code of ethics applies to the ethical conflict within the case study that you're looking at. And then I think the next section is talking about the stakeholders and how the stakeholders are affected. But this is how you would get started about finding a code of ethics, finding the ethical or matching the ethical issue with a professional standards document such as a code of ethics. So I hope that is helps people who are trying to make a connection between the ethical issue that they may find in their case study and then connecting that with a professional standards document such as a code of ethics or a code of conduct. So that's the professional stand. I'm just looking at my agenda. So that's the professional standards topic I wanted to talk about. The next thing I wanted to talk about is citing your sources. And I think to do this, I'll go into the discussion board because I've made an addition to the discussion board today. Let me go into assignment 2. I'm in group 35 in assignment 2. And if I scroll down, previously this information was here. frequently requested sources, and the reference list was here and the template was here. But just this morning, I've added this third section, which is called Assignment 2 Structure, based on the above template. So if you go into the discussion board, you'll find this. In addition to the discussions that are taking place in the discussion board, in the assignments discussions, I will post additional guidance to help you successfully complete the assignments. So the discussion boards are twofold. Discussion boards are a great place to discuss your learning, to ask questions about concepts you're not sure about, but you can also find guidance, specific guidance from me in relation to the assignments as well. So this is just a suggestion, a suggested structure. So if I click on this template here, which I'm not sure if anyone's looked at it yet, but we'll look at it now. I'll just click on this. And this is based on the formatting and presentation that you'll find in the Student Hub on how you should format and present your written submissions. So at the top, you should put your student ID and your name, the unit, the title of the assessment, and the due date. And this would go in the header section. And then in the main document, well, I would start off with saying that, this is the communications case study, and I would put the name of the lead character and the profession that your case study is about. Then, just as a matter of interest, you may notice here that this text is what's known as lorem ipsum text. It's just filler text. It does not mean anything. I started off with a sentence in normal English, but then the rest of the text here is just filler text. It doesn't make any sense. It's not supposed to make sense. I don't really even think that it's Latin, even though it looks like Latin. It's just filler text. So if you think this is a mistake, it's not a mistake. It's supposed to be here. When we come in to talk a bit more about structure in a second, you'll see why I've labeled this section 1. The next section starts on a new page, section 2, section 3, and in this particular structure, there are 4 sections, which you would then start a new page where you would put your references. And in assignment 2, I see an opportunity for at least 3 references. So you would have at least 3 references here in your reference list. This Friday Live is going to go for a little bit longer than 10 minutes, isn't it? Okay, so that's the template. Let's close that, and we're back here to the assignment 2 question and answer discussion. So this next section I've put in here provides a suggested structure. But before I show you the structure, I just want to go to the assignment question. So this is our home page, and if I go into assignments, this is assignment 2 here. And in the assignment details, this is where you choose whichever case study you want to do. This text here, this case study correspondence, can I open that? Yes, I can. Okay, so you don't have to apply all of these. I think these are like emails or letters. So you just pick the one correspondence for your case study. So if you've chosen Maria as your case study, then you only need to look at this text here. You don't need to look at anything else. If you've chosen Jill as your case study, you only need to look at this text here. All the rest of it is relating to the other case studies. So I hope that helps. So that's the case study correspondence. And you need that to respond to these questions here about your case study. So here you'll see that there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 sort of questions or 7 prompts that we want you to respond to. Now, I've had a look at this, if I was a student, how would I approach this? And I see an opportunity to respond to these 7 prompts in just 4 paragraphs. And the way I found these 4 paragraphs is I went to the assignment criteria, and in the assignment criteria, there's 4 main areas that need to be covered, and they're each worth 20%. So there's this first one, it's 20%. This one is 20%. Here another 20%, and here another 20%. Now the remaining 20% is in relation to spelling and grammar and structure, and also your sources and referencing. But these first 4 really can be, it doesn't always work out this way, but in this particular case, I see a paragraph response to each of these questions. And let me show you how I've arrived at that structure. I want to go back into, back in here to the assignment 2 question and answer. Scroll down to where I just was. This is the template here, but here, you'll see here that I've provided assignment 2 structure document. So I'm going to click on this, and here's the assignment 2 structure. These are those 7 items from the assignment details, and here are those 4 areas of marking from the marking criteria. So I see that those first 2 from the assignment, the first 2 can be answered in this section of the marking criteria. So questions 1 and 2 can be answered in a paragraph, and that's going to get you up to 20% of your grade. The next question, assignment 3, is a paragraph by itself, and that's again worth 20%. So this is the marking criteria you'll see here. And if you haven't picked up already, you can see that this works out for the last 2 as well. So the prompts 4 and 5, which relate to future work skills, can be responded to in a paragraph here. And now each of these paragraphs, I think, from memory, I said were about 400 words each. So for 20, you're running about 400 words with a possible grade for each of those paragraphs of 20%. And the last 2 prompts, 6 and 7, can be handled with this last major marking criteria of 20%, which is the proposed solution and identifying a strength and weakness, or a strength and limitation of that solution. So this is how I see a possible way of approaching this assignment. You may have approached it a different way. That's absolutely okay. This is just one of many ways you can approach it, but it's just, at first glance, this is one that I thought was an easy one to go with. And so now you see, if I return to this template, section 1 is responding to criteria 1, and it's the identification of the ethical issue and problem, plus talks about the stakeholders and it provides an explanation of the effects on the stakeholders. So that's answering prompts 1 and 2 in section 1, and as you see here, this is approximately 400 words. So criteria 2 is responded to here, again, approximately 400 words, and so on. Okay, so, and here I've suggested some sources that you might like to cite. So in section 1, you would cite your code of conduct or code of ethics. In section 2, when you're talking about spoken and unspoken messages, I recommend you citing Baldovino. I've also put a link here to a reading called Brown, and I think I might have posted Brown in some of the discussion boards. Well, I mean, I know I posted Brown in the discussion boards, so you can look up Brown in the week 4 discussion, but I put it here as well. Section 3, which is talking about the future work skills, well, of course, that's an opportunity to cite the future work skills. And I've also put a link here to an updated version of the future skills document here as well. And this is a document, I've talked about it before, and I feel that I find this document is more accessible than the original document. But it's horses for courses. You might like to cite both of these documents. And then finally, in section 4, when you're proposing your solution, this should be in relation to or taking into account that code of conduct or code of ethics. So this is another opportunity here to cite that code of conduct or code of ethics. So that's how I find that there's at least 3 possibilities of citing sources. But if you used all of these, well, what's that? That's the code of conduct, Baldovino, Brown, the first future work skills reading, the second one. So is that 4? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No, 5. So there's a possibility, from what I've got here, of possibly 5 sources that might appear in your list of references. Alrighty, well, that's probably enough from me. And if you need to watch that in 2 parts, so be it. It was kind of a bit dense. If you've got any questions about what I've spoken about here, please ask in the question in the. I've got to get this assignment 2 Q&A. So if I go back to the discussions, any questions about assignment 2, down here, assignment 2 Q&A, and that's where all those bits and pieces are, the template and the suggested structure document as well. I hope that's helpful to you. We're having great weather in Melbourne. I know it's not great weather around the country, and our thoughts are going out to those people who are having to deal with floods at the moment. And if you need an extension to help you with your studies, please apply for an extension early. You can apply for a 48-hour extension immediately, and that will probably be granted very quickly. If you need a longer extension than 48 hours, then you may need to provide some documentation about that. But please, if you're having difficulties with submitting because of adverse circumstances, please let us know. Let me know. You can send that to me in an email. Obviously, you don't want to be posting about your personal circumstances necessarily in the discussion boards, unless, of course, you want to share that, and that's perfectly okay as well. But in relation to getting an extension on your assignments, that's probably best if you apply using the, where is it? I'm babbling, aren't I? I'm so bad at that. Okay, so in the assignment details, where is the extension tool? There's an extension tool here. Maybe I can't see it because it's only in the student view. 40-hour extension dashboard. If you can't find the extension, how to apply for an extension, then you can contact the student advisors and they will be able to let you know where that tool is to apply for an extension. If you still can't find the tool to apply for an extension, then email me and I will help you. Okay, that's definitely all from me now. That's coming up almost at 25 minutes. But I think that was worthwhile. I think that was very worthwhile. 25 minutes spent. So I'll catch up with you in the discussion boards. Have a great weekend. And we've got Easter coming up. Is it next week or the week after? Anyway, it's not too far away. I'll see you in the discussion boards. Bye for now.